This is the Tree of Life, Season 28, Chapter 3. In this episode, we will be bringing together our discussion of the dialectical degeneration, context length, and hierarchical strings. To begin, in Season 27, Chapter 5 and Chapter 8, we talked about how when the context length is restricted, the result is a two-step dialectical degeneration. That is, the context length ensures the compelling of acquiescence before the substitution event leads to infinite recursion. In this case, the first thought has a personal orientation. The second has a work orientation. The third has a civil society orientation. That is, the movement of the thoughts in dialogue moves upward through the domains. This captures the tension within a choice between two dialectical positions one step from consensus. So, in our example in Season 27, Chapter 5 and Chapter 8, it becomes a choice between systems governing the allocation of resources within civil society. By restricting the degeneration to a choice between these systems, one is achieving a single step to consensus through the degeneration. In the last episode, we were talking about how an old artifact of sublimation, in the process of degeneration, sees the substitution of a hierarchical string for a tautological string. This involves the substitution of those hierarchically superior, in priority, in the place of the central person within the tautology. However, in this case, we must assume there was no context length, as it was a tautological string prior to the degeneration. Thus, the substitution sees the flowing downward through each descending path, by way of substitution of each central person. In the first case, we see the domains linked to the steps from consensus being personal, 2 steps, work, 1 step, civil society, consensus, where the final step is accomplished by the choice between dialectical ideological systems governing how society is structured. Whereas, in the substitution of a hierarchical string for the tautological string, we have a movement down away from consensus. This means that the order is reversed and each descending path below the third step is increasingly ensconced in the lower domains, i.e. family, becoming more and more personal. In the third case, with respect to a new tautological string or artifact, we have the dialogue flowing upward from the lower domains to the higher. From the personal to family, to work, to civil society. In this way, we see consensus shifts through tautological strings by way of imposing a choice between ideological sides in existing conflicts. These conflicts are historical because the degeneration is incomplete, unlike when it is restricted by a context length. This also means that these conflicts will be further from consensus than a simple choice between dialectical opposites. All of this reveals that the very nature of our internal dialogues reflects a larger orientation. It shifts polarity, becoming more personal or systematic, largely due to the pre-existing relationship between our negation and acquiescence within sequential substitution events. This framework also takes into account whether the tautological string is historical, or whether it is the product of the within substitution event. That's the end of the podcast for today.